Good morning and welcome to another fantastic edition of Plus Sport. Definitely today is going to be an interesting moment because we look at two important topics that have been trending across the globe. It's not more news that Grace Nwokocha has been provisionally suspended for taking bad substance, and that is one of the issues we'll be looking at today. But the question is, what's next for such a career? What's next for Grace Nwokocha, who we know that has been doing so well, Commonwealth Games and the World Olympics. She was part of Nigerian contingent to that Tokyo 2020 Olympics. Yes, talking to us on doping and what's next of such. Let's not forget that just a few months ago we had Blessing Okagbare also in the issue that has to do with banned substance. So we have UK-based doctor who is IOC certified, talking about Dr. Jimi Osinaike, who will look at the issue of doping in Nigerian athletes and what is next for Grace Nwokocha. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yes, we all know that just a few weeks ago we had the Athletic Integrity Unit informing the whole Nigeria through the Athletic Federation of Nigeria that one of the 4x100 meters gold medalists at the just concluded Commonwealth Games has been suspended provisionally pending a sample B outcome to determine how many year ban she's going to have. We already know it's definitely going to be 4-year ban if found guilty as a result of the sample B outcome. Now tell us what's next for such a beautiful career if the sample P end up coming out positive.
All right, thank you. What next if the sample becomes a positive? So she can still appeal the decision, and there is this concept in doping, in the anti-doping rules, which we call no significant fault or negligence. Negligence in that case is that if the lawyers can argue that it was a case of inadvertent doping, by inadvertent doping, it wasn't done purposely. So, for example, inadvertent doping could take the form of, probably she took a particular supplement and she didn't know that there was a banned substance there, or probably she took a particular food and probably the food was actually prepared with a banned substance. So if our lawyers can actually prove that it was a case of negligence, it was not done purposefully, then they can actually reduce the sanctions, for Grace Nwokocha. So, but at this point in time, we can only really just be hopeful. But in a situation where the sample B test positive, from history and from experience, if the lawyers can really argue that case of no significant fault, then they can probably reduce the sanctions. It could be probably like 6 months, 12 months. A case in question was the case of the former Ajax footballer Andre Onana, the Cameroonian goalkeeper, and he was also charged with doping. And what happened in this case that he mistakenly took his wife's medication, that had a banned substance, and the player, his lawyers were able to argue it, and instead of having like a 4-year ban, he had a 12-month ban. So I think that's the best case scenario that can happen to Grace Nwokocha.
Yes, thank you. Well said. But we know that she's on scholarship in America. Do you think the school where she is right now might be taking a decision in the nearest future in regards to even the provisional suspension? The school also have to wait for the final outcome of the sample B before they can actually stop her scholarship or take any other decision after the outcome?
Again, I think we're really jumping the gun. I can't really say what are the codes of conduct of the school in regard to cases such as doping like this. So I can't really elaborate on that. But if she's not had an history of doping in the past, which I believe she's not had, it is left for the school to stand with R and argue a case of inadvertent doping, because again, inadvertent doping can happen to the best of athletes. And then we've seen cases in history of elite athletes, having inadvertent doping. Mario Cilic, the tennis player, had a case of inadvertent doping. And then Onana, the case I just mentioned earlier on. I mean, Ajax did not put him away. Ajax supported him all through that, that particular phase of his life. So if the school in the US, believes that, this wasn't done purposely, then, they should actually support her. But again, this depends on the code of conduct of that particular school, which I might not be able to really comment on.
Yeah, well said. Now, let's talk about a bit, and that's talking about the Athletic Federation of Nigeria. In these circumstances, and what do you think the Athletic Federation of Nigeria should do in a case like this, knowing that this is one of the athletes, and we know that one of the consequences of the outcome is that Nigeria is going to lose the 4x100 meters gold medal they won in just concluded Commonwealth Games. What do you think the Athletic Federation of Nigeria should be doing or should have done in cases like this?
Okay, so let me start from what they would do in a case of Grace Nwokocha. I mean, in a situation where the sample B, also tests positive. I mean, there's very little they can do. I mean, the best they can do is to, offer their support, psychological support for the athletes, and, every other, support that she needs. Because again, we must see the issue of doping as not just the Athletic Federation of the Nigerian thing. Now, there is the World Anti-Doping Agency, which every country has to abide with. Okay, so if the World Anti-Doping Agency abandon an athlete, there's very little that the national, anti-doping organization or the National Athletic Federation can do. So in such situations, they can only encourage the athlete, support the athlete through those trying times. Now let's go back in what can be done, to actually prevent cases like this. As I said on the platform yesterday, that the responsibility of anti-doping rests both on the players, on the athletes, and also on the National Federation or of the National Anti-Doping Organizations. Now, there's this concept we call strict liability, which in a way, says that an athlete is responsible for whatever gets into that. But the WADA code also says that every athlete needs to be educated, needs to be supported, needs to, have this education on what to take and what not to take. So going forward, the Athletic Federation of Nigeria should do, more sensitization. I'm aware that they do a lot of this sensitization. In fact, before Commonwealth Games, before major games, the National Olympic Committee, through their, medical committee, we would always organize, these, sessions for athletes. Yes, so I think we can actually do more, support our athletes more, and, so that they don't fall victim, of such things like this. And the athletes should also be very, very wary of whatever gets, into their blood system.
Yeah, okay. Well, to more questions, Doctor, to avert such situation in the future, how careful can athletes be, and how careful should the Athletic Federation be to stop such incident from taking place?
Now, let me start with how careful an athlete should be. An athlete should be extremely careful. We cannot overemphasize, that strict liability clause that says they are responsible for whatever gets into them. They must be careful in terms of even what they eat. They must be careful in terms of supplement. I mean, athletes take loads of supplement. A research in the UK in 2012 actually says that most of the doping cases were because athletes took one form of supplement or the other. Now, these supplements are always advertised in a way that it doesn't contain banned substances. But in fact, we've seen that some of the supplements, actually have banned substance. In fact, the particular banned substance in which Grace Nwokocha was found to have taken is a kind of anabolic steroid that is really found in loads of supplements. So an athlete should be very careful, particularly of because most athletes use supplement, just for recovery and all of that. So they should be careful. Secondly, athletes should ask questions, okay, from practitioners that are versed in the code of conduct in the banned substance of WADA. Now, there is a website out there called Global Draw, where athletes and their support personnel can actually check if a substance is banned or not. So again, that's what the athlete should do in their part. Then there's also the place of athlete presenting themselves for testing, presenting themselves for questioning, all those things they must also be ready for such. Now back to the anti-doping, the National Anti-Doping Organization. Again, the best they can do is really putting in place structures and really emphasizing structures. And the structures should not only be before major games. Okay, the structure should be something that is a continuum. Okay, and there should be information out there. They should have a website. They should have social media handles. They should go to schools and educate people on this. They should also build capacity, train people. I'm one of the recipients of the training of the National Olympic Committee. Train people, train doctors, train physiotherapists, train coaches on issues of doping, on banned substances, so that these athletes would not fall prey of situations like this.
Yes, well said. Now we know that Nigeria are in some the World Athletic Federation and the Athletic Integrity Unit use grade nations in terms of doping. Tell Nigerians what grade we are, because I know some people are saying we are in grade A, grade B, grade D. Tell us how positive are we in terms of that?
Yeah, I'm aware that before the Tokyo Olympics we were probably in grade A. I'm not too sure the grade we are, but it was not a really good grade. Okay, and because of the grades that we were, okay, as a nation, that there was how will I put it now? We had to do extras to justify the fact that we're not doping. We had to justify the fact that there was no state organized doping in our country. And in fact, in such situations, when you are in such grades, you would, your athletes will be subjected to more testings. Okay, they would have to do more whereabout testings for them. The whole idea is just for you to prove, okay, that your athletes are clean. And one of the reasons why Nigeria was in that particular grade, I can't remember the grade, and that's why I'm speaking generically, was because there was the World Anti-Doping Organization required a particular structure for our national anti-doping organizations, which we didn't have then. One of the things they requested then was that there must be a legislation that was backing it. There must be very good structures on ground in terms of testing, in terms of deterrent, for those that were caught, that will be caught in doping. Now, these things were not there. These things, were not there satisfactorily, so we were put in that grade. But I think after the Olympics, and I think early this year, there was a news, okay, that says that we are doing better now. Okay, things are now much more in place. In recent times, I think they inaugurated a new National Anti-Doping Committee. There was a new chairman, and the World Anti-Doping Organization have said that Nigeria is doing their best. We're trying to meet up with those standards.
Okay.
But truth be said, we are on the right track, but more can still be done, really, when it comes to anti-doping in Nigeria.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Jimi Osinaike. Thank you very much. Definitely, when the outcome of Sampupu comes out, you will be the first to let Nigerians know what the results means. Thank you very much, Dr. Jimi Osinaike.
Thank you so very much for having me on the show.
That's Dr. Jimi Osinaike is IOC certified drug in sport.